Okay, everybody, we're going to go ahead and get started. Just a few things before we get started. My name is Christy Thompson, and I am the Sales and Marketing Director here at BIS Technology Group. And we are so thankful that you are able to come out and spend time with us this afternoon. Um, on the right side, you should be able to add in comments throughout the presentation. We will be monitoring that and we'll stop it from time to time. And if we don't get to it during the presentation, we will get to it after it during the questions and answer section. So today we're going to be talking about how to define and attract your target market. And I'm going to go ahead and introduce your speaker, Phillip Long. He is the CEO of BIS Technology Group. He is an entrepreneur and author who specializes in providing technology and marketing solutions to businesses along the Gulf Coast. He's worked in the IT and marketing industry for over really 20 years now, and he is the current owner of 5+ businesses, has 600+ clients from Mississippi to Pensacola, all the way up to Auburn, and he is a certified information systems security professional, which is a certification formally approved by the Department of Defense. So I'm going to kick this over to him. Phillip?
Great. Christy, thank you so much. Thank everybody for attending. We appreciate that. And we want to get right to it today. I have a special guest. It's one of our own here. This is Miss Kinley Sweet, and she does our social media marketing strategies. That's her primary role, although Miss Kinley also just recently got her Google AdWords certification. So we're all proud of her for taking the time and getting that education in, and it's really, it's adding some depth to some services to our team so that we're able to more appropriately spend SEO money for us and our clients. She manages really, I think it's over 30 social media clients here with us, and she's at her current employer. She had over 50 clients that she did not only locally but also nationally. And she is a graduate of the University of South Alabama. So let's jump right in. I guess I should let Kinley say hello. Kinley, you there?
Hello, everyone. Yes, I'm here.
Cool. So I kind of tell you all the format I want to do. I want to basically commentate, and then I'm going to let Kinley answer all the hard questions. So let's jump in. We're going to talk really about your client avatar is the word that we use. And ultimately, those are things like the name, the age, the location, gender, job title, income, education, their hobbies, their interests, their goals, their challenges, their values, their pain points, and their behaviors. This is a pretty big list here, and what I would recommend in order to kind of get that, this is probably one of the most important places to start whenever you're doing marketing, because they say the old saying is that I know that 50% of my marketing is working, I just don't know which 50%. And oftentimes it's because you're talking to the wrong potential client, and to them what you're saying is noise and it's bothersome and it could be even irritating, whereas if you know the things about your particular client, what you're going to be telling them, and we're going to show you how to isolate and define your message, is going to actually be helpful to them. So let's talk about that. What's some ideas, Kinley, on getting this type of information?
Yeah, so there actually are tons of different ways that you can get all this information and really hone in on the perfect client or the client avatar, as we say. Today, we're really going to be touching on how to get that information from social media and also from your website.
Yep. That's going to be our primary focus. I'll tell you another way that I like to do this. If you can bring in a team and talk about your existing clients, who are your best existing clients, is a great way to start to build this out, and basically ask those questions. I believe that if you want better answers, you have to ask better questions, and ultimately, if you want to be really successful as a business owner, you got to surround yourself with people who are very skilled at asking great questions. So I'd put my team in a room and I would say, all right, let's think about the clients we love to do business with, the clients that are most profitable, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I would ask those questions and I would build out this avatar profile on them so that then you can use that in order to do your marketing. So let's talk about how we're going to reach these customers. Kinley, give me some ideas on, all the ways we can reach customers.
Yes, of course. So, really, I mean, there are so many different ways. Whether you want to go with print marketing and you want to do, ads in a magazine, there's always print marketing that you can use. You can also use social media, which is a great tool. Your website, you really want to make sure that your website has the correct information on it because your client and your perfect avatar, that's where they're going to go to get all of the information. But of course, there's also TV ads. There is email. You can do email campaigns. The list is really endless.
Yeah, that's right. We could spend a lot of time talking about a lot of things, of course, where I think our addition to the conversation is going to be more in way of the digital world. So that's kind of where we're going to jump off here and talk about social media networks next. And of course, we are all familiar with really probably all of these, and I would say these are the most predominant ones right here. You've got, of course, Facebook, 2.32 billion monthly users, and it's best for B2C, but there are opportunities to do B2B on there because you got to think about it. There's a lot of influencers, office managers, people in general. That is pretty much that. It's all social media, I think, is pretty much slanted towards women. What's that stat? That stat on the, is it, what is it? 60-40, something like that. What do you think, Kenley?
Yeah, it really kind of depends on the social networks. I know a lot of them, most of them, women are more predominant, but there are some of the social networks that are strictly, way bigger in the female fields, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. And of course, we have Twitter, 3.26 million. So again, it's about a fifth the size of Facebook. But larger companies use it a lot. If you want to get, really a big company, you go on Twitter and complain or something, they'll respond quickly. LinkedIn again is about 500 million, and that's for B2B. It's also a great prospecting tool for the ability to get straight to the decision maker. It's something that we use a lot of, and so that's good. Of course, Pinterest. Where's Pinterest at, Kinley? I'm not a Pinterest guy.
Yeah, so just like we were talking about, and you had mentioned that females are more of the majority of users for social media. Well, Pinterest is one of those. It's mainly used by women, and it's not as prevalent, but if you are serving all females or you have products or your service is geared more towards females, you should definitely be utilizing Pinterest.
Yep, sure. All right, and then Instagram, you go ahead. I know that's it's really an up and coming product, and who uses that?
Yeah, so Instagram, this is actually, I think, the third largest social media network. So it is really up and coming. It is newer, but you can see it has a 1 billion users. So it's getting up there close to the amount that Facebook has. And only 35% of adults use Instagram. I know that that is slowly increasing because so many people's children and the younger generation are using Instagram, and really a lot of businesses now are using Instagram. It's great for business to customer. That's more of what it's built for marketing, but it is great for really all demographics because, like I said, it's growing so fast. It's almost up there with Facebook. So you
Yep.
definitely want to be making sure that you utilize Instagram.
Yep. And Snapchat, what's up with that?
Oh, yes. So Snapchat is one of the ones that's definitely mainly the younger age group, ages 18 to 34-year-olds. So if your target demographic is younger, you can always utilize Snapchat. Now, for the older demographic, it's not necessarily um, really a necessity in your marketing and in your social media outlets that you use. But if you have a younger demographic, it's a great tool.
Got you. All right. And then finally, YouTube.
Good old YouTube. So YouTube is actually the second largest social media networks behind Facebook. So it actually has more users than Instagram, which a lot of people don't realize. But like we say right here, it is the world's second largest search engine behind Google, which is crazy. But if you think about it, when you are looking for more information on a service or you don't know how to maybe perform something or build something, where do you go? You go to YouTube because the world of videos is huge. Video marketing is really the definitely the star in 2020 is video marketing.
Yeah, sure. And then, one of the most predominant words series used on YouTube is "How do I?" And if you think about it, that's something that you could do in your market, depending upon, what you do. It could be something that you could put videos and "How do I?" XYZ, fix this, repair that, install this. And if you shoot videos like that and put them on YouTube, they're a great lead magnet in that you can use in social media, as well as point back to your website, as well as just simply have somebody reply and respond right there off of YouTube. And, that's a great way to draw them in. It also puts, I think, a good spin on your company from a social standpoint, kind of as a giver. And so I think, YouTube is something that definitely needs to be in because people are getting lazier and they'll sit there and watch video, but they won't necessarily read. So that's definitely a tool. Next, we're going to jump in and talk a little bit about some insights. This is kind of, you can see here this is on Facebook, and this is for a particular company. I don't know is that Designs or is that us? I don't know. You know who that is, Kinley?
I think it is for BIS.
Yeah. So I bet it's for design. I don't know. It might be for that. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Tell us about Facebook Insights and why do I care about Facebook Insights?
Yes. So, like we were saying, social media is huge nowadays. You saw the amount of users, over I think 2 billion on Facebook. So Facebook has the best out of all of the social media networks, the best insights and analytics for your audience and for your followers. So if you are on Facebook on your business page, you can actually click on the insights button, which is on your top menu, and it'll bring you a variety of different information from your your viewers and the people that follow your business. So, for instance, here you can see that it's predominantly women that follow this page and that interact with this page. Over it's 77%. So that kind of helps you gear your content and helps you define that audience by looking at that. You can see that women are the ones that are more susceptible to react and interact with your page. And you can also see where they're located, which is great information because if you are wanting to target a certain location and your insights on Facebook aren't exactly where you want them to be, you know where you need to be putting your strategy at and where you need to be focusing in on.
Yep. That's right. And at the end of the day, one of the biggest things that you want to think about whenever you're doing anything as it relates to communication is the first rule of business is know your audience. So this is a great way to get a look at it. And then, I could even see possibility where you may want to change your content to see if the content could, basically your messaging in your ad, say if you're like, I really need to talk more to men, you may want to put a more manly ad up or something. So, looking at this and maybe trying to balance it out into a men-women ratio or whatever. But again, like I said earlier, a lot of times when you're building out that avatar, you're going to know of your existing clients. You can go out and get more of the same so you're going to want to design and you're going to want to look to see if your designs and the way that you're marketing is actually reaching that demographic. So really important to study those insights. Here's another, this looks like a boosted post or an ad. Is that right?
Yeah, so on in the analytics or in the insights on Facebook, you're actually able to see the different types of posts you may be doing. So whether it's video, you're posting photos, or you're linking, you're just having links on your web or on your Facebook page, you're able to see which one is reaching more of your audience. So right here, you can see that obviously people are interacting with videos more. A lot of times, like you said, people don't really want to read anymore. So video marketing, this just goes to stand with what we said, is huge. People share it more. But this insight on Facebook really helps you target and gauge what kind of content you're going to be developing to reach that target client.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's really good stuff. And of course, we can talk about what's the difference between reach and engagement, post clicks. Let's be sure we touch on those. What's the difference between those?
Yeah, so reach is how many times your post on your social media has been seen. And engagement can be anything like clicking on the post or sharing it, liking it, commenting. That is your engagement, and that's a lot of what you really want to look out for. And then also the post clicks is anyone who's clicking on your post. So that could be to find out more information. They click it to make it bigger, or they can also click to your Facebook profile too. And there is insights in there that will show that as well.
Yep, cool. And here's a bit more on Facebook Insights. What's this showing?
Yep. So you can actually see which right here, this is of our BIS company's Facebook page. You can actually see each individual post, just like before you could see overall which ones perform the best. You can go individually and see which posts are performing the best. So which ones have the most engagement, which ones have the most reach, how many people are clicking on it. And obviously, like we saw before, videos do the best. So if you want to see what type of video performs the best, you can even do that through this, and it's great because you can compare each post and see maybe where you're lacking and what you can add to grow your engagement.
Yep, that's really important too, I think, to study this because and it's weird because certain things do really well, and the most frustrating thing about it is oftentimes you'll have something that is really, really, really meaningful, that you think is very meaningful. Like me, I look at some of these ads and they don't do as well as something that's very, very, very social. So you have to kind of put a mix in there. Some of it's going to be I can see here that team building thing we did was very popular. That was organic right there. 526 people reached. And then you see the Mardi Gras event that we did had 937. Another strategy too is to get your friends and your family and your team to like and share and comment on things, because the algorithm on these products like Facebook, Instagram, all of it. Really, nothing attracts a crowd like a crowd is how I like to put it. And what I'm meaning by that is that the more people that like it and share it, the more people that they actually get to see it. So we'll move off of that. Let's talk about LinkedIn. Of course, LinkedIn's more geared business owner. Tell me what this analytics page is telling me.
So on LinkedIn, something that really is almost like night and day with Facebook is it's geared more towards businesses. So if that is someone that you're looking for and that is your perfect client and you work more with businesses, LinkedIn is great. You can actually see in the analytics right here, it shows you the businesses that are looking and interacting with your page. You can see how big each business is. So it looks like right here, smaller size businesses are the ones that interact the most with the page. And normally, I work with a smaller local companies, or, if you have a bigger client and you work with more national companies, you'd want to be attracting a larger employees, companies with larger employees.
Gotcha. And looking here, this is a bit more, and it has to do with what demographic area that they're coming from, right? Just showing where the
Hmm.
percentages of on a particular ad. I think on the previous
Yeah.
slide, I think this is more market segment that we're looking at that are interested in the ad, which is really kind of cool, kind of powerful to be able to look in to see which market segment really looks at your ad, and then of course where are they coming from, and you know that's important as well. And if you start to pay for ads, you want to be sure that you go in there and dial in, because depending upon your product, like for us, this is just an organic reach ad that we're seeing, and we don't care that people in India, but if we were actually doing a paid for ad, we would want to limit so that it would be in our area that we serve. I think that's something really important as you build out, you got your avatar and you go to actually use it, excuse me, you're going to want to dial it in to the exact market.
Yes,
Actually
definitely.
demographic, yeah, the demographic area that you want to serve. Another thing, this is the level of the person that is seeing your ad, entry level, senior, director, VP, owner. And so you can kind of break it down to see who's actually seen that ad, and then also the top industry, basically what vertical that they're in, you can see. So this ad worked well, obviously, for IT people. All right, and employee size, same thing, pretty self-explanatory here, but again, if you start to think about, well, you know what, there's no way that I'm going to serve, like this is an organic ad here, but if you were doing paid for ads, whenever you built out um, that market that you wanted to speak to, and you're not going to do business with any company that's over 1,000 users, so you would limit in your ad building an audience. Talk to me Let's talk just a second about building that audience on social media. Tell me what your thoughts are on that, Kinley.
Sure. That has been lot about, well, a lot of what we've been focusing on the past couple months. Definitely me and Philip have. It is so important that you take all of the information that you're finding and what we're going through using Facebook, and we're actually going to talk about website in just a second, how to use the websites to get analytics, but making sure you use all of those details, the demographics, the age, their interest. Maybe you only want to target people that have a certain income. You are able, especially on Facebook, you are able to really hone in on those target clients that you want, that you've just discovered, and that you've come up with. And the only people that are going to see those ads are the people you want to see them. So you're actually going to be using your marketing dollars on your digital marketing on Facebook and on social media very efficiently. So it really helps save money and use it very wisely.
Yeah. And again, in a lot of times, if you don't have uh, the right market defined or audience defined, you could have a lot of people doing a lot of things, clicking and liking and all that stuff, but they're not your potential client, which I doubt you're actually going to have them liking. They may have a lot of impressions, but they're probably not going to comment or click because it's not relative to them. So you're really wasting your money. All right, let's talk about website analytics and the things that we can find out and why we want to find out these things.
Yes.
Jump in
So
there.
yeah. So for website analytics, a lot of what we're really going to be going through is your Google Analytics. And this is if you don't have that set up or you really have no idea where to start in getting the Google Analytics linked to your website, we would be glad to help. So you can just ask the question at the end and we could definitely help you with that. But most people do have their website connected to Google Analytics. So there are a ton of things that you can find out from your website analytics. Things like what browser they use, if they're using a mobile phone. That's a huge thing right now. Everyone's using their phones to search. It's huge. If your site isn't mobile friendly, that'll help you right there. Focus in on how you can better your website. Also, you can see if they have been to your site before. So this may be people that have been coming back to your site, coming back and lagging and not necessarily making a call or purchasing the product. Also, you can find out where they're from, just like from your social media analytics, what their interests are, their age, and their gender. And you can also see what pages they visit, which is great because it shows you exactly what service or product your audience is really interested in.
Yeah, and we don't want to get too deep into this, but also there's ways that you can basically retarget them based off of what pages they visited so that your ads show up in other places. We've all been to look up something and then boom, we go over to Facebook later. And lo and behold, there's that ad staring you in the face, which is really, really, really smart because that's going to give you an impression, and it's going to really if it's done properly, it's going to define exactly what you were looking at, exactly what you wanted to buy, so that even from a social media page, you click and you can go there and just purchase right away. It's going to basically put it into a funnel or a squeeze page, they call it. So really important information. Next, we're going to jump into the website analytics, looking at demographics. And I think it's going to be pretty self-explanatory. On this particular page here, it's a 55-45 split on male to female. And then we can see that our largest, close to 40%, is going to be 25 to 34 that are, people actually looking at it. And I think our tendency, mine is at least, has always been, oh yeah, I don't want to leave anybody out, but I would much rather spend the money that I have. I would rather have touch, the sweet spot. If my sweet spot say 25 to 54, I would much rather spend all the money on those people because they're going to be a better client based off of that, that data that we did or that exercise that we did, and that I talked about in the beginning of knowing who your clients are. And, the 18 to 24s, if you look and your clients are, hey, I don't have very many of those, or you know what, those are our worst clients, or, anything that you're doing, don't spend money to buy something you don't want. That's the words I want it to use. Don't spend money to buy something that ultimately you do not want. All right, this is a real eye chart here. I'm going to let you explain that one for me, Kenley. I'll give you the heavy lifting.
Okay, perfect. So this is the people that have visited your website. This shows you their interests, which it really, if you utilize this information, I think a lot of times it's overlooked when people are describing or trying to define their target market. But these are people that are interested in these certain categories. For instance, you can see that 3% are, interested in food and dining. But really, you're not looking for, you're not a part of that industry. It kind of helps show you what your client or your perfect avatar is interested in, and those are the ones that are visiting your website. So you're able to really hone in on different things they may like and they may be interested in, and you're kind of able to adjust your maybe the content on your website, or just the digital marketing that you're doing for your client.
Yep. Again, this is it's really cool, and I said earlier, get your people in the room and look at your existing clients. But this is also a great way, using if you already have some a website up, and if it's set up properly, where you could go in there and actually pull up all these analytics. And again, these are all reports that you can pull up if you've got Google Analytics set up on your website. So you could actually really even get a deeper picture than just your existing clients as to what they like, and the market segments that they currently are in. Let's talk about targeted content. What is that?
Yeah, so really, the first step and what we've really talked about since the beginning of the webinar is how to define that target market and how to use all of the different resources you have. So now you have that client, you've figured out who you're targeting, their interests, their age, and now it's time to develop content on social media, using social media right now to get your message across. So here you can see the captions. One thing you can notice, the captions are short and sweet. You don't necessarily want to have a ton of words, especially if you have more of an older or more of a like a real young demographic. They don't really want to read as much. And you want to make sure as well that your photos or your graphics that you're using are high resolution, they're quality content, and it gets the message across. You don't want someone to look at your social media page and wonder what kind of company you are, because that is just going to be more of a loss. Those will be customers that you're going to be losing because they're trying to figure out what services you offer. So making sure that it is very clear on social media and that it is quality content with high resolution pictures, and great graphic design, that will really grab the attention of your target audience.
Hey, I want somebody to run down to LA Barbecue and hook me up with some of those nachos. That's what that screen says to me, at least.
Yes.
Sorry, I accidentally hit my I don't even know what a focus assistant is, but all right, let's talk about targeted content. I think this is something that has worked out great for us on the IT side. This has been one of the biggest drivers that we have, and I'll at least step my toe into it. At first we were, again, I think it's my mindset of talking to a lot of people rather than talking and giving the right message to the right people. We didn't want to do the work that it took to make a particular guide, say, for accountants or for religious organizations or for dental practices, because it takes work to make that content. And but what we found was that message to that small segment was very defined, that you can define very easily these segments, and a very specific message that they identify with is very powerful. And the second part that I would add to that is that in doing all that work, there is tons in those guides, there is tons of information that you can take pieces out of that and repurpose that material in, say, a Facebook post, or a video that you could shoot off of that content, and use those images and that data and that content that you've written there. So when you make a big piece of targeted content like a guide, be sure to repurpose it, and be sure, of course, that you've defined that that's who your audience needs to be. But I'm really a fan of that, because that turns into clients for us. I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, so you really touched on a lot of it, but these guides, I love them so much, and they're also, besides these guides that are up here on the screen. There also could be, how-tos, maybe some way that you're helping your client. So not only is it there and it's available for them, which, these are actually available on the BIS website, so very easy to access. It also shows that you're willing to give out the information to help these people and help these clients really better their business. And it's very accessible, and it may be time consuming, but it always will pay off. So sometimes you really do have to invest a lot of your knowledge into products like these, and to put on your website, and you can also share them on your social media. So really it can be used in so many different aspects of marketing.
Yeah. It says ultimately, I get you. I understand your needs. And again, if you get the right person and they get that right content in their hands, whenever they call you and want to have a discussion, you'll find that they even use your words, because ultimately you're selling them on you whenever you develop that content. So there's no better way than to no cheaper or more effective way than to develop that content. It's like hiring a salesperson almost. All right, let's talk about competition. Should we be afraid, or what should we do with our competition?
So since you've developed your target market and you've kind of started to figure out ways to implement content for that market, the next thing you really want to focus on, or your next worry, is your competition. Even though you have taken steps to create quality content, you've put a lot of thought into it, you have to you always want to be one up, and you always want to be on top of your competition. So there are multiple ways that you can do so. But today we're going to talk about using targeted marketing campaigns to
Yeah.
overcome your competition.
One other thing that we're doing as far as it relates to competition is using this kind of is off topic a little bit, but you can go and look and see what ads they're running and one up them, make your ad better, spend more money pushing that ad. You can also use Google pay-per-click and actually put their content and their words into your pay-per-click ad, so that if that gets searched, it'll actually pop you up on top. That's a little behind the scenes secret that probably most people aren't doing. Let's talk about targeted marketing now. What is that about?
So we kind of dove into it a little bit earlier, but like I was saying, so we can go a little farther into it. So what I was saying with social media, using social media to create what we call your target avatar and your perfect client, the options are endless. So like Philip said, you can actually see what your competitor is posting, the ads they're posting on social media. So that is a great strategy, a part of your strategy that you should be including. But once you see that, you have to figure out, well, how in the world can I do better? How can we overcome what they are doing? So the best way to do that is to really take advantage and hone in on that target audience that you worked so hard to develop. That information isn't useless. It can be used, especially on social media, it can be used for a variety of reasons. For example, Facebook ads or boosted posts, whatever one you choose to use. When we develop those for our clients, we're actually able to pick what city we want the ad to show up in, their interests, you can even, the list is endless. You can even do the income. Maybe you want to target only people who have kids that are 6 to 14. You can actually go that detailed in on the audience. And it is so important to do so because, like we said earlier, people are wasting so much money because they are just clicking boost and running a Facebook ad, but not necessarily using all the tools and all of the details that they have worked so hard to get to define that audience.
Yeah. I think also another part of a targeted marketing campaign is important for consistency. You know, it actually can hurt your engagement. We could talk a minute about the you know, about how the algorithm will actually, you know, suppress you if you don't actually engage in your marketing on a consistent basis. Like you know, again, they're seeing if you're posting something that's seen, you know, let's just use Facebook as a social media platform. You know, they want you to stay on Facebook. They want you to surf Facebook, look at things so that they can ultimately produce and show you more ads that can produce them more money. So if you aren't posting very often, then your engagement will fall off because you're not really a player in the game. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Kenley.
Yeah, that's definitely a great point. And also, really utilizing the information you can find from the social media insights, like we talked about on Facebook, making sure that you're taking that and keeping it in mind when you create that content. Facebook also will see that you your videos that you're posting, that's the highest engagement you get. If you're creating stuff that is engaging and all of your content is quality, Facebook will also pick up on that. So you really want to make sure that you're utilizing all of that data and that insights when you come up with your marketing strategy.
Let's talk about money. Um, what kind of money does a small to mid-sized company in, you know, Baldwin County, South Baldwin County, you know, need to be spending? I know that, you know, it's to be relative, you know. Um, what do you think from a social media standpoint is a budget that is going to get you seen?
Yeah. So on social media, what I've really experienced, especially a lot here lately, with using what Facebook calls and what people call an ad spend, which is the amount of money that you're using on social media, because we all know posting is free. But the Facebook ads in the boosted posts, the best the best results I have gotten so far out of most of my clients is definitely spending at least $100 in ad spend. Now, that really depends on what your goal is. If you're trying to just develop brand awareness, which Facebook is amazing, is an amazing tool, or all social media is an amazing tool to use, you may not want to spend as much. But if you are wanting to maybe receive leads, and really what people are wanting to do and what's your end goal, you want to make money. So you have to put in some money in order to get those quality leads and maybe get people to your website to purchase things. But the minimum I always suggest is $100.
Yeah, that's what it takes to get enough impressions to get your, you know, get out there in front of enough people enough times to basically turn, you know, turn that into a follow up by the client. And yeah, I believe that, you know, and I say that because I knew you were going to say that, because whenever I think about like when we grew our company BIS on the early days, I'm talking about when we were trying to grow it, I literally, and I am not joking, we were paying over $5,000 a month in Yellow Page ads because our market was so screwed up. We had, you know, Gulftel, they had a book, and then there was the Yellow Pages. I think there was a Yellow book. Then there was another book for somewhere, I think on the, you know, like on the island down there in Gulf Shores. And, you know, that print ad was so very expensive. And for literally, now I know we spend more than $100, but not anywhere near where we spending, you know, that kind of money, and we're getting better results. So what I guess I'm trying to say is that this is a very effective means of marketing if it's done correctly, because you're getting a lot of people to see it. And you know, another great thing about it is you're getting the right people to see it. Whereas, you know, the Yellow Pages was more of a what's the words I always use? Let's see, you know, the active means of search, just like a search engine is an active means of search. And what I'm saying by that is that if nobody just, I don't think, ever peruse the yellow pages just for the heck of it. They're not just going to, let me just spend a little time looking through the yellow pages and just scanning the pages. But so that whenever they needed something, they picked up the yellow pages and they looked and they found the people that were advertising. That's kind of how Google is, whenever you go to a search engine. The cool thing about Facebook and other social media platforms is that we can actually put our ad in front of people, not even knowing that they need our services. We have an opportunity to A, brand ourselves, like you said, or B, present a problem that, or bring a problem to their attention that they need solved, and then of course we can solve it, and we're able to do it with the avatar. So I guess I'll end where we started, how important developing that avatar and then developing great ad material and then spending money to get in front of those guys. That's why it's so effective. And really in the big scheme of things, it is so much more cost effective than what we had 15 years ago. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Kinley.
Yeah, I want to touch a little bit on and just add a little bit on to what you said about being consistent. When we're talking about being on top of our competition, the reason it's so important to be so consistent with any marketing strategy you have, like we're talking about social media, so I'll use social media as an example. When you stop posting, for a year or for 2 months or 2 weeks, Google, not only the people see that, but also not Google, sorry, Facebook will actually pick up that you're not consistent with your posting, and that affects their algorithm. So it really can't hurt. It only can help you if you are being consistent. For example, we post for a lot of our clients 2 or 3 times a week. It's extremely consistent. We never drop down on it. On our company page, on BIS's company page, you want to make sure that you're consistent, because in the end, people are going to be going to social media to look for your business. And if your competitor is consistent and posting more frequently with that quality content, they're going to choose your competitor. So always making sure that you are consistent with what you're putting out is very important.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Well, we're going to kind of end that content section of what we're going to talk about. We're going to get to questions here in a minute, but what we would like to do for anyone on the call is to give away a free digital marketing review, where basically we can look at what you're currently doing and see how it can be improved, as well as look and see how you're ranking against your competitors on the search engines. Basically do just a digital marketing review. We call them DMRs, and to see where you are, and we could even maybe propose some a roadmap, if you will, to show you possibly where you can get. And of course, oftentimes that comes with a dollar amount, and we can put that down there to see if that makes sense for you. That's really free for everyone on the call. All we ask is if you guys jump on that offer before March the 6th. And if you'd like to do that, you can just simply email us at events@askbis.com, and we'll get somebody to reach out and take a look at what you got and see if we can figure out a way to start making your cash register ring. Guess we'll go into questions. Any questions, Christy, from anyone?
Yeah, we had a question come in. How do I know if print marketing is successful?
Kinley, you want to take a crack at that?
Yeah, so really, and I learned a lot of the stuff I learned about print marketing and magazines was in college. And the way that I see, and Philip, you can add whatever you'd like as well, but the way that I see people measuring that is using a coupon code. Let's say you send out mailers for a discount, maybe free shipping, or you just are going to do a free evaluation, and you give them a code that they can use if they purchase something on your website. You can keep track of it like that. That's a really big way to keep track of something like that, more of like a coupon. You can ask people if they fill out a form on your website, let's say to contact you, and they found your website from print. You can actually add onto your form fill, how did you hear about us? But really, that's the biggest thing I've seen and what I've learned is kind of asking people how they found you, or maybe implementing a discount code or something around those realms to kind of measure how effective the print marketing is.
Yeah, I'd agree 100%. You can also put in some codes within your point of sale or QuickBooks to have it to where when you put the order in, you can basically track a special field that will be able to track that. And I think that's real important. I'm not against some print media. You know, we do it sparingly, but we still do it. I think it's part of the mix. They say that, you know, because of most everybody's gone digital, that there's some room in the mailbox now. But I definitely would put a code or some way. But really, even on a lot of things, you need to track it. You know, if somebody calls you up, you need to ask them. You need to train your staff to ask them, hey, where'd you hear about us? I think that's really important. I just came back from Mobile with a new client, and they saw a Facebook ad. Is how they went. And they went to our Facebook, and then they went to our website, and you know, they followed up with a phone call. So it really all works together, but you know, it works.
Okay, we had another question. How do I find out my prospective clients' behaviors and interests? Sorry.
I'm gonna let Kenley take that on, because social media wise, you can certainly do it, and she knows how.
Yes, definitely. So a lot of what I've seen with which they were asking how you find out the behaviors and interests. Was that the question?
Yep, that's the
Yes.
question.
Okay, awesome. So, like we were showing on social media or using social media, you can see who already is following you, what they may be interested in. Now, those are the ones that are already on your page that you've already really gotten and drug in. Another way that you can do it really for prospective clients, it may be what I have seen is kind of trial and error. You know, with social media, the great thing about social media is it really is a lot more cost effective than, let's say, like Philip was talking about, what was the one you're, Yellow Pages. It's a
Yeah.
lot more cost effective. If you run smaller ads or you boost a post for a smaller amount, and it doesn't have to be $100, if you may think, oh, well, this person actually may be interested in my product. I want to see how they react to my Facebook page and the ad strategy that I'm going to do. You can actually see how it's going to perform, and it can really help you level out if you want to include them, if they are going to be added into your target market or not. Philip, do you have anything to add about that?
I like it. I call it, you know, fire bullets, not cannons. You know, there's
Yes.
some military battle I read about, and the guy, he was very anxious to uh, to win the battle and sink his competitor, and instead of basically calculating his cannons with bullets, he fired all of his gunpowder. And with social media, it's beautiful. You can spend a little bit of money and kind of test something, see how it's going to fly, and then you can come back around and then, you know, put more money in it if it's working. So it's like an oil well. You know, if you tap your oil well and you're getting oil, well, hey, drill another hole beside it. You know, keep pumping.
And I just wanted to add one thing to that. Um, One good way to also figure out their interests and behaviors is to ask your current clients. Find your
Yeah,
best current clients, take them out to lunch, ask them when they're shopping at your store, maybe give them a discount, and just try to get inside their head. And you can ask them those questions. Hey, what's the best way to get in touch with you? Would you rather me email you? Would you rather me send you a print mailer, a mailer? Would you rather see it on social media? What's the best way? And I think that's how we've really been successful with it on the IT side, it's because we've taken out some of those clients, we've asked them what they want, and we've gone from there.
Yeah, that's a great point, Christy. Thank you. That's yeah, a lot of times I always say that experience is very expensive, but most of the time you could simply ask someone and they would tell you, and you get to learn all their experience without having to suffer the time and cost and pain of what it took for them to learn it. So yeah, that's a cool, great idea.
Okay, well, I believe that's all the questions we have for today.
All right. Good. Would like to, of course, thank everyone for coming out. Really important to us. And again, we'll ask that if you have any questions, you can email events@askbis.com, or if you have any comments or things that you would like to know about in the future, we'd love to know about it because we can develop some content around it. And we want to make these things very relative and very meaningful for our clients. So, put it out there and we will respond accordingly. So thank you, Kinley. Thank you, Christy, for all the work to pull this off, and appreciate y'all, and thanks everyone for coming, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys. Bye.